If you've ever sat in a church pew, you definitely know the drill. You've got the songs, the prayers, and then you have the main event, the sermon. For a lot of us, it can sometimes feel like a long lecture we just have to get through. But what if it's meant to be something way more profound? Today, we're going to get into the theological engine that actually drives the sermon. We'll unpack why it's not just a speech, but an event that's designed to literally change you. So, this is really the core question we're tackling. Why does so much of a Christian worship service revolve around one person talking for 30 or 40 minutes? Is it just tradition, or is there a much deeper principle at work? Well, it turns out, to even begin to answer that, we first have to kind of redefine what worship itself is supposed to be. So, let's start by looking at worship as something much bigger than just a Sunday morning routine. Because according to the New Testament, there was this massive, fundamental shift in how worship is even understood. This quote right here from Jesus in the Gospel of John, it marks a huge turning point. The whole idea of worship suddenly pivots from being about where you are, like at a specific temple, to how you are. It becomes this internal act, something you do in the Spirit and in truth. This comparison really lays it all out. See, in the Old Testament, worship was so deeply tied to a physical place, the tabernacle, then the temple, and all the external rituals that went with it. The New Testament flips that, moving the focus inward. Now, worship is about the state of your heart, about aligning your inner self with God's truth. The book of Romans just captures this so powerfully with this Greek phrase, logikon latran. It's often translated as spiritual worship, but it's so much more than that. The concept is pretty radical. True worship isn't something you can contain in an hour on Sunday. No, it's the continuous, moment-by-moment offering of your entire self. Your thoughts, your actions, your whole life becomes an act of worship. Okay, so if worship is about spirit and truth, let's zoom in on that truth part for a second. In this theological framework, truth isn't just a list of facts. It's actually embodied in what is called the Word of God. And this isn't just a book. It's described as a living, active, and incredibly powerful force. This verse from Hebrews is an absolute cornerstone for this idea. Just listen to that language. Alive and active. The Word isn't being painted as some static, old text. It's a living force that actively works on a person. The metaphor is basically a spiritual surgeon's scalpel, something so sharp it can make the finest incisions into the very core of our being. So what is this sword actually cutting through? The text gets incredibly specific here. It's said to divide the soul, or psyche, that's our personality, our mind, our emotions, from the spirit, our pneuma, which is our deeper connection to God, our conscience. And it even gets down to the joints and marrow, a metaphor for the deepest, most hidden motivations of our heart. The whole point is that the Word is believed to expose what's really going on inside us on every single level. So we've got these two huge ideas on the table. One, worship is the offering of your entire life. And two, the Word is this living force that examines our innermost being. So, how does a weekly sermon connect these two? This is where we finally get the answer to our big question. Okay, within this framework, the sermon becomes absolutely central for 5 key reasons. It's seen as a moment to hear God speak directly to you. It's the place where faith is meant to be stretched, to grow, and to change. It also unifies the whole community under one message to figure out God's will together. It's a primary time to receive grace. And finally, it's supposed to equip everyone for a life of active obedience. So you see, it's not just another item on the schedule. It's meant to be a divine appointment. Right, so if a sermon is that significant, what actually makes one effective? It's not just about the information itself. The sources we're looking at point to 3 classical components of rhetoric that really form what you could call the anatomy of a sermon. First up, you have logos. This is all about the content. It's the what of the sermon. Is the message logical? Is the explanation of the biblical text clear and insightful? It has to give you something you might have missed just reading it on your own. Simply put, the sermon has to be built on a solid foundation of substance and truth. Next is ethos, and this one focuses on the who. This is all about the character of the person speaking. Are they sincere? Do they live out what they're preaching? The idea here is that for a message to truly land, the audience has to trust the integrity and the heart of the messenger. Without that trust, even the most profound words can just fall flat. And finally, there's pathos, the how. This is all about the conviction in the delivery. Does the speaker really truly believe what they're saying with passion? This is what separates a dry, boring lecture from a heartfelt appeal that actually connects with you emotionally. When you get all three, the substance of logos, the character of ethos, and the conviction of pathos working together, that's when a sermon is believed to be at its most powerful. Okay, so let's bring all of these pieces together. A sermon isn't designed to be the standalone event that's over and done with when you walk out the church doors. It's actually meant to be the catalyst for a continuous cycle in a person's life. Here's how that cycle is designed to work. It all kicks off with hearing the word together in corporate worship. That hearing is supposed to lead to a moment of real insight, an aha moment about God's truth. Then comes the most crucial step. You take that truth and you apply it in your daily life worship. This application is what leads to real, tangible growth. So you return the next week enriched, ready to begin the whole cycle all over again. It's meant to be this amazing, virtuous loop. So really, the takeaway from all of this isn't just about defining what a sermon is, but really understanding its intended purpose. And that leaves us with a final reflective question for ourselves. Is worship just a weekly stop on the schedule, or is it the starting line for a daily cycle of hearing, applying, and growing? According to this theology, that distinction makes all the difference in the world.